If you've been feeling unmotivated, chronically distracted, or honestly just a general sense of disconnectedness from your own life, it's likely not because you're just a quote lazy person. It's likely because your brain is exhausted from consuming content, opinions, thoughts, aesthetics, routines from people over and over again, so much so that your subconscious mind cannot focus because it's so clogged with just noise. So we need to unpack the psychological damage of brain rot, the massive identity shift that occurs when you work through it, and why most people struggle to get there. This is how I got my brain back and how everything else in my life started to click together when I did. I'm Danae. I help women go get paid by deprogramming you from the noise so you can go out there and finally live a life that feels like yours. So what actually prompted this video today was a comment I got on my video called You'd Be Hotter If You Logged Off. Basically in it, I'm just saying to go touch grass. You can watch it if you haven't already. And there was hundreds, thousands of comments on this video, but this one comment has stuck with me since, and I just can't get it out of my head. It scares me so much, but I know it's so real. I assume it's like a young Gen Alpha boy, just from the tone and the style, but it could be anyone, any age. The comment basically says, I'll put it on screen. Hey, ever since I've been born, I just know that social media and like my phone is life. So what is life? Genuine question. What am I supposed to do if I'm not on my phone? I know there's loads of kids out there who feel like this, but also I think even people who are grown, you're in your 20s or older, you know that life is not your cellular device or the technologies you have or the social media, but you know it consciously, but you forget very often. It's so easy to get caught up in thinking that what is happening inside your phone and in your device is real life, but real life is what you can touch, see, breathe, feel. It's the moments with your family and friends in real life, right? I'm not saying that technology is bad. I love how we can use it as a tool, but I don't think we use it as a tool. I always think about this, how back in the day, for music, for example, people would go to a play or a concert and really enjoy music. And I can't imagine how euphoric it must have felt to experience that maybe, I don't know how often, like once a week, once a month, whatever the situation was. Whereas now we have Spotify. We just have all this good music in our ears constantly. So we don't really feel the depth of how it can make us feel, if that makes sense. And of course, back in the day, there's tabloids, magazines, and other things that were consuming people, but it's never been like this. It's never been so invasive and all-consuming. We are a guinea pig generation of people who are living this new life with smart devices, and it's only going to get more consuming and likely worse in terms of how it's affecting us. We've completely outsourced our decision-making, but we don't realize we've outsourced it because it feels like we're making our own decision. But that's why you feel unmotivated. That's why you feel depressed, because you're not actually activating your brain, your subconscious mind. Your thoughts are not your own. I want you to sit down for 30 minutes, no distractions, and just try and pinpoint what made you make those decisions, whether it was purchasing a matcha because you've seen 1,000 videos in the past 2 days about people drinking matcha, or the gym you go to, or the exercise you do because you've seen 15 other girls wearing the same exact gym clothes with the same exact physique, and that's all in your subconscious brain. So you think you're going out to make this decision to exercise and wear this thing because you like it, but it's just because it's embedded in your brain from all the things you've been consuming. Does that make sense? And if you were not the one making the decisions in your life, truly, then the life you're living is not yours. This is what brain rot really is and why it can be so detrimental. It's about waking up and realizing that you've been living a life of thoughts that you just absorbed over time. And of course, this is natural to some extent. So the environments you were born in will likely affect how you go out into the world and live. But to the extent that it is now, because we have so much access, is insane. I would say when I was deep in my brain rot era, I say some of the quote symptoms that I felt were just a general sense of dread. If I woke up, I would just be exhausted by noon, even if I got good sleep. I had a permanent just fog. So I wasn't sad. I wasn't happy. I was just neutral. I would multitask every physical second I possibly could because I couldn't be alone with my own thoughts for even a second. So it would be multitasking if I was working with friends and talking, listening to music while doing some schoolwork or work or on a walk. There was not a second in my life where there wasn't something running. in the background. There had to be the background noise. I didn't have any real conviction, so I couldn't actually tell if I truly believed something or if it was just something I absorbed. But I wasn't even conscious enough to know that. I can see that in hindsight, but now I realize that's why I never felt convicted about anything strongly, because I didn't build the muscle of cultivating my own thoughts because I was just in that brain rot era. I would also spiral over making small decisions. It would be so hard. I would outsource my decisions to anybody that would listen, and then I would be upset because they were not helping me make it fast enough, or I wasn't sure and it just didn't feel satisfying. Now I can look back and realize that those symptoms were a result having too many inputs and not having any original thought. And without no original thought, there's no true self-development. There's no momentum. And that's how you become a magnetic person, when you have intentional inputs and you're cultivating your identity. When you meet people who feel like, wow, like they just got that thing, it's because they're in tune and intentional with who they are. And in this day and age, you have to be extra intentional to get to that point. While it's difficult, it is where we're at in society. So if you want to break through that, you have to make the active decision to boredom, silence, intention, cultivating your own thoughts. These are skills that you must obtain. So I'm just going to spitball now pretty much everything I did to get through this brain rot era and grow brain cells again. What I will say is that these things feels like something you want to continue doing, you want to go back in, because it takes more work to stay out of it. While you do feel that clarity and that sense of relief when you're not in your brain rot era, it's easier to just get the dopamine. In the world we live in, you're rewarded for multitasking and just being stimulated all the time. Like, it really is hard to separate yourself. So everything I'm going to share also helped me break the feeling of wanting to go back down that dark path. For me now, even if I'm having a bad week or something, usually in a weak moment, that's where I might feel like going down the dark path again. But it's very easy for me to just get back up now because I've built these muscles over time. So one important thing that comes to mind is getting comfortable in solitude. No music, no inputs, just sitting with your thoughts at least for 10 to 15 minutes every day. I used to do this for 10 minutes. I actually might have started at 5 minutes. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to meditate. It was just like, I'm going to sit down and have no thoughts for 5 minutes. And then I escalated it to 10 minutes. Now, pretty much every day, I will sit down for 15 minutes, no thoughts, no distractions. Usually it's in the morning. I get to really feel in tune with myself. How do I feel? What are some thoughts that are coming in my mind while I'm actually silent right now? That usually tells me what's important to me or what I'm thinking about, which then helps me make intentional decisions. You get it? I also intentionally stopped multitasking. I used to multitask doing everything, literally cooking. There had to be a YouTube video on eating, doing work, everything. Now I don't work with music. If I do, it's very rare, and I'm severely sleep deprived and need something like to just wake me up. But yeah, cooking, going on walks. If I do it, I'm intentional. I think, okay, I'm going to do this activity today, multitasking, but everything else I'm not. I'm very careful with that because it allows you again to have periods of time where you're allowing your thoughts to run. And that's where you get the best thoughts. The reason a lot of us get these amazing thoughts right before bed is because it's the only time of the day where hopefully your brain is not being clogged with noise. Because I know some of people have to play a video or something to go to sleep, which is fine if you need some like brown noise or something. But it goes to show that when you quiet your mind, that's when amazing things come out. Your brain is trying to tell you things all the time, but it's so clogged, so you never allow it. And that's why you feel so unmotivated and disconnected, because you're not your true self, because you're never acting on the thoughts that you have, right? Even these video ideas, just everything comes to me in those mundane moments. I'm chopping vegetables, I'm walking, I'm cleaning, because I'm not constantly clogging my precious thoughts. Also, I talk about this a lot, but let boredom happen. Sometimes there doesn't need to be a plan. Oh, you finished what you had to do early on Saturday and you said no to your friend because you thought it was going to take you all day. So now you just have 2 hours to spare. You don't need to put on a Netflix show. You can just allow yourself to just be sometimes. Every moment doesn't need to be filled with some sort of technology. It doesn't mean you don't need to do anything, but usually, for example, if there's a precious moment of boredom that in this busy world usually doesn't happen, I will fill that with something creative like coloring, or I'll write, I'll journal, I'll think of something that will inspire me or give me a different emotion or feeling than the slight dread I feel after I spent hours binge watching a TV show or scrolling on my phone. I slightly talked about this in the beginning, but just track your thought loop. A good kind of activity you can do is before you go to sleep at night, think about your entire day. This is very good for your memory, but it's also good for your subconscious mind because it's activated when you're going backwards and you're thinking about what things occurred and why they occurred. And that will allow you to then just learn yourself more. You don't have to put a judgment on it. You don't have to say it's good or bad, but it will allow you to figure out, oh, this actually led for me to do this. Like when I did end up doom scrolling or when I did end up getting distracted for a couple hours, it was because of this. And now I realize that was a trigger. And maybe next time when that happens, I can try this. So I like to just reflect. I don't do this as much as I would like to, but I would definitely recommend it. This is also a very simple one. And especially right now, because we have ChatGPT and everybody's using it for literally everything, they've just completely outsourced all decision making. It's even more important now. Make sure you're solving at least one problem a day. I would say for me, because I'm self-employed, that has really helped me because self-employment, entrepreneurship, it's all just solving problems every day. There's just problems, right? So it trains your brain to focus. When you solve problems, it trains your brain to focus when you do it yourself. So sometimes when you have an issue, something with your friend, some decision to make, school, whatever it is, you don't need to ask ChatGPT. You don't need to ask a friend. Sometimes just allow your brain to focus and think about what you should do. That's it. You're training your brain to build that muscle, and you'll notice that makes you feel better and even more confident over time. And then another reason you're likely feeling super just exhausted mentally is because you have a lot of decision fatigue as well. One, because you're not training your brain to solve problems, make decisions, whatever, the boredom, all that stuff. So alongside all of these things, a great way to reduce the exhaustion on your brain is to just reduce decision fatigue. Have a simple routine that you follow. It doesn't need to be rigid, but you'll notice that a lot of the greats in this world had routines like writing in the morning or going to the gym and then coming back and then starting your work. It doesn't need to be like 9 o'clock I do this, 10 o'clock I do this, 12 o'clock I do this. I used to fall into that trap. Never worked for me, but I have a basic routine where I wake up, I don't go on my phone, I'll walk to my gym, I'll go to the gym, I'll come back, I'll give myself a nice nourishing breakfast. Also during that time is when I don't listen to music and I have my 15-minute quiet time, let's say in the sauna, for example, and then I'll come back, I'll eat, and I'll then go into my work and I'll work for a set amount of time and then I'll eat. And I just have this routine that you know what's going on. So there's not a lot of thinking to make. I have different meals. I live alone. So for example, thinking of what to eat every day can be so exhausting. So I have a rotation of meals for different seasons that I really like, that I like cooking. And it takes time to build this up. But it's good to have a routine and a set of things that you can always pull from in your arsenal of life, right? Whether it's outfits, hairstyles, all the things. Like I've reduced decision fatigue in most areas of my life, so I don't really need to think. I'm going into a new week. I know what I need to pick up at the grocery store because it's summer, and these are usually the things I eat in summer. A couple years ago, I didn't have any of this, but over time, I realized how valuable it has been for me. And probably out of this list, one of the best things that I've ever done. Going into the whole not having to fill up spaces when you're bored, do things with your hands, whether it's drawing, craft, going outside, planting a seed. Have you ever planted a seed? I feel like the young people I know, maybe it's because I'm in the city, don't get their hands dirty. I used to love playing in the dirt when I was a kid. Obviously, it's different when you're an adult, but it's just an activity that grounds you and brings you back to earth. That's what life is, not this metal thing in your hand. Next, I would say is to build relationships with people in real life. It's very common, especially for younger people, to just have friendships online. It's important to have in real life friendships because you do not know who you are when you are not with people in real life. It's very different to have connection over the phone or over FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. In real life is irreplaceable. Looking people into their eyes, seeing their skin texture, how their eyes move, how their lips press together when they talk, laughing so hard with people that you snort. That is living. Those are the moments that you think back at and you have nostalgia about. But so many of us don't make an effort to have those moments. And then another huge one is moving your body. For me, this is a non-negotiable. Going for walks, running, workouts, dancing. You could do a range of things, but feeling your own energy is so much more fulfilling than consuming other people's. Another very human thing you can do off of your phone, off of your laptop, is to be curious. Go outside, walk around, look at businesses, look at people, imagine where they come from, imagine their storyline. Ask random people questions when you see them outside. Get curious about the things that you're seeing around you, about the trees, about space. about how different cultures celebrate different things. Get curious about yourself. What makes you feel energized? What makes you feel the most like you? And all of this will lead you to feeling your feelings, which is the last thing I'll say. Everybody has weird, hard emotions that are difficult to confront or express. But once you start to do all of the things above, it becomes easier to have less shame or judgment towards yourself. It allows you to really perceive them and work through them effortlessly because all of the actions above prime you to do so. Feeling your emotions deeply is the most human thing you can do, and something that no matter what we create in this world will never be replaced. So yeah, you don't need a super detailed, structured day and routine and habit trackers and methods, but you need an arsenal of must-dos and must-not-do and a general sense of routine to actively avoid brain rot and going down that dark path. If you do this, you will taste the sweetness of life. Everything all of a sudden becomes easier and less doom and gloom, and will also help you get paid.